Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of She Plays Games, the podcast where we celebrate women in the video games industry. I'm your host, Lauren, and I've been working as a journalist and content creator in the games industry for the last 10 years. On my show, I have a chat with women of many different roles within the games industry, whether it's journalism, games development, or even streaming. My goal is to give visibility to the many women in video games with hopes to inspire a new generation of women in gaming. I'm super excited to announce that today's episode is the first in a series that is sponsored by the Limit Break Mentorship Program. Limit Break is an amazing mentorship program aimed at underrepresented people working in the UK games industry. Those who join will be given the opportunity to pair up with a mentor who is established in their field. This is Limit Break Mentorship's third year, and they are collaborating with Making Games with support from other organizations such as UKIE, #Raise the Game, POC in Play, and Into Games. If you want to take part in the mentorship program, registration starts today, so head on over to limitbreak.co.uk for more information. The link is also in the episode's show notes. On today's episode, I'm joined with a previous mentor and mentee partnership, Tara Saunders, who is the studio head at PlayStation London Studio, and Cinzia Musio, the diversity and inclusion advisor at Splash Damage. We discuss their experiences working together as mentor and mentee, what makes a great partnership, and how they knew it was the right time to take part in a mentorship program. This is episode 42 of She Plays Games. Cinzia and Tara, welcome to the show. It's really great to have you both on.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks so much. This is great to be speaking to you and great to be on a call with Cinzia as well.
No, yeah, I mean, it's so cool that you guys were actually mentor and mentee, which is amazing. I just wanted to know though, like, did you know each other before the Limit Break Mentorship Program?
Nope, not at all. I think my introduction to Cinzia was from what she submitted to Limit Break, actually. So I was looking at potential mentees and I had a few that I could choose from, and I don't know what it was. I just was drawn to her kind of like CV, I think it was, and felt like we were in the similar space and there might be, kind of like a great relationship there. And it's been awesome ever since.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I mean, I remember that I received your profile when I was on holidays for my birthday, actually. And I got the email from Limit Break and I was super excited. I like reading through it and reading all the details and being like, that sounds like the perfect mentorship. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's incredible, especially considering like how much experience you have, Tara, like in the industry. You started back at PlayStation in like 2000, which is incredible. I mean, what a time to be working at PlayStation. I mean, how different, who did you have to sort of like look up to at that time?
It's really interesting actually, because like literally, I mean, it was a bit of a roller coaster. I joined PlayStation, I think it was the week before the PlayStation 2 launched.
Wow.
It was just this kind of like massive, really exciting things going on. It's weird though, because it didn't feel back then that the industry was anywhere near as connected as when kind of like what it is now. So I think I was actually quite naive when I started. I didn't really know much about the industry, all the key people that were the movers and shakers kind of at the time. So, and definitely, I think when I joined, I increased the women threefold in the studio. There was actually, I joined with a couple of other colleagues from university. So I was a grad straight from kind of school almost. And it was interesting because I think back then even it was quite hard to find inspirational women. in the industry. And so I think I was in a bit of a bubble of just the team that I was working in. I did have a lot of respect, though, for Katie Elwood, who was the writer on The Getaway, which was the project I was working on then. We worked really closely kind of together on the motion capture and cinematics of the game. And I think I was just drawn by her kind of energy and creativity kind of for problem solving. And that always blew me away. And, we're still in touch now. She doesn't work in games now. She's in film. But I think having kind of confident women around me in the industry really helped. I kind of took a lot and learned a lot from that. I think other than that, there was lots of people that I then saw as kind of over those those early years of my career that, are still inspirations kind of now, like Shannon Studstill from Santa Monica and Siobhan Reddy. It's like one of my early memories that the company was seeing kind of and being blown away actually by the first showing of Little Big Planet when it was in a super, super early phase. And kind of, I think Siobhan came onto my radar back then and has kind of remained on it. And, even now, I think being part of PlayStation, there's lots of actually very inspirational, both women and men actually, that are kind of figureheads of studios that I think I've learned and am learning a lot from still.
That's amazing. And I mean, for you, Cinzia, as well, like who did you sort of look up to when you were thinking about getting into the industry?
So it's super interesting because I just kind of fell into the industry coming from fintech, where I was kind of like, I got around the industry by being interested in the business side of the industry and getting to know people from that side of things. But I really, like, back when I joined, I had kind of no idea who was who. Like I just knew about, the people that you see on like the direct and E3 presentations and everything else. So I didn't really have anyone that I just kind of like, started looking up to. And then I started getting involved into the UK games industry and seeing like people like Tara and Anissa just kind of talking about diversity and inclusion just so openly is something that really drew me and kind of got me inspired to want to do more of that.
That's so cool. Like I hear that quite a bit now, especially more people coming from like different types of career paths or more corporate type of like career path into the games industry, which is really like amazing. I think you tend to bring a different type of outlook, a different experience into the games industry.
Yeah, completely. I mean, it just felt really foreign when I first joined the games industry because I had to tone my professionalism. I'm using air quotes here, at the beginning because I came in like super formal and just used to, coming from like a very formal environment like fintech, it was very much of just me being like, yeah, so I'm going to sign off all emails with kind regards and everything else. And all those things. And I had to be like, oh, that's just not how it works here at all.
It's like that weird sort of like, I don't know, lost in translation kind of feel where you're just like, I'm okay. I have to tone it down. But that at least is a nicer way to go. At least it wasn't the other way around, which I think is somewhat harder.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, this was just me being like, just go back to being a normal person.
Yeah, exactly. But like, that's incredible. And I mean, sort of thinking about that as well, was there any games in particular that brought you both sort of thinking into games?
It's interesting actually, because when I first joined the industry, I kind of didn't really think games actually. I wanted to be the best animator that there was. That was what was in my head. And I remember I applied for jobs in, the film industry, the TV industry, and kind of games all at the same time. But it was probably the buzz of being in a game studio that drew me to that. I was actually offered a job at the BBC and at Sony on the same day, and it really was like, two jobs on the table. Which one do you take? And I remember talking it kind of through with my dad at the time, and I think it was definitely drawn. He said, well, which one did you get the best feel for? And it's like, actually, I stepped into a game studio and it was that, you've got this sense of like the creativity that kind of comes when you mix kind of tech, art and design together. And that was a massive appeal to me. I'd always kind of enjoyed tech and art and design. I had kind of an art and design background. And I think seeing those disciplines working really well together, and just that at-desk collaboration, it's like very different to kind of like having an interview at the BBC where, you know, everybody's kind of headphones on. And, you know, I remember walking into Sony and there was like people hovering around each other's desks. And I thought, oh, I want to be in that people buzz. So it was that. And it was quite interesting because I think I was asked in my interview, like, you know, what games are you playing right now? And I thought, I could lie about this, but at the time I wasn't playing. Like, I had played through my youth, probably spent way too many hours on Sonic and Hungry Horace and some real classic like Manic Miner back on the Spectrum. It's like, you know, I played a lot kind of historically, but I was quite honest and said, look, I'm not playing anything right now, but, you know, I love games and have played them before, but, you know, and also I didn't think that I wasn't playing anything at that minute, whether it would make me a worse animator. And I was quite honest and open about that in the interview. I think other people that interviewed at the same time did lie about that, and it got them into some hot water. So I think it's never worth. Yeah, exactly. It's never worth it, is it?
No, but it is an interesting point, actually. Like the fact that like, there's so much around, like, you know, oh, are you officially a gamer being in the industry? Like, I think that there's a real imposter type of syndrome thing that goes on, because I talked to quite a few people who say how, oh, I'm not really a gamer. I maybe play like mobile games, like who are in the games industry, and I'm just like, that's okay. It's not a requirement. Like, you know, I mean, you never like it just seems like this weird sort of brain thing that we got inside of like you have to be a gamer and like a full-on hardcore I play Dark Souls night and day gamer in order to be in the games industry. That's just not true.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah,
it's something that I remember. I remember so many times where, especially people from like the operations side of things, would come to me and be like, "Oh, you know, I don't feel like I really belong to the studio because I'm not a gamer." And then I'd be like, you know, well, first of all, I personally really dislike the word gamer. It has so many negative things attached to it, and I try to kind of like separate it as much as possible from what we do. But also, you know, like those are the people that, yeah, will be spending like more time than like a hardcore gamer playing games on mobile games, but they're just not seen as like being a valid way of consuming video games, even though they're just like, you know, they're such an important part of our industry.
Yeah, no,
Absolutely.
completely. I mean, mobile game, I play on my phone more than anything else at the moment, because it's just accessible. It's just there and I could do it. But I mean, yeah, so for you, Cinzia, I mean, coming in from a different industry, what sort of attracted you to moving into games?
For me, very much. I mean, I grew up with games, and it was always a thing that kind of like attracted me. But at the same time, it very much was. I was looking for my own kind. Working in fintech and finance, where things were always very formal, I just never like. I felt out of place constantly, like throughout my career, and it's something that I really wanted to find somewhere where I could be myself. And that's really the thing that attracted me to games. And when I started like doing interviews and everything, I could really see like from the get-go that I would speak to people, and there was that connection. Like I was on the same kind of like, you know, on the same line, on the same brainwaves, basically. And it's something that I was really missing. And I had really great teams when I worked in fintech, and you know, like there was a team in like one of my longest job that I had, where we even tried like doing movie reviews on the internet and stuff like that, because, you know, we were a bunch of nerds. But it just like it never felt like it was fitting with any of the company cultures that I was into until I came into games. And like anyone that I spoke to, I felt connected to almost immediately. And that's really something that that's what made me, that's what made me attracted to coming into the games industry, and what kind of like has driven a lot of what I do.
It's funny, isn't it? Because it feels like it's people. It's actually both the people side of it and that kind of thing that drew us into it, rather than the content itself. Like, oh, that's the draw, that was the pull, or that was the deciding factor around, potentially two different jobs, is actually how you fit in and the people that you work with. It's such an important part of it, I think.
I came in because like my work at the time, being live operations, was very much focused on running a live game and running a live product, because that's the experience that I had in finance. But I don't really play online games because, it's not easy playing games online.
Yeah.
And so that's something that I never was really attracted to it. And being in a company that very much focuses on that just would seem like, it would be something that wouldn't fit. But that attraction to people and to that was the right culture for me, basically. And that was so much more important than the games or than, anything else. It was just being around people that were on the same level, on the same wavelength as me.
I think it's really fascinating as well, because the more and more I do these interviews, the more and more I find that, like, really I almost feel like people don't give the games industry enough credit at times for how progressive we are in comparison to other, like, I want to say like franchises of work, but other types of work, like the more corporate, like disconnected side. Because, like, I mean, I know people who work in who work in sort of normal, regular agencies, and their ideas are so far behind what somebody who I'm talking to in the games industry is kind of connected in. Do you feel that way?
Yeah,
like
definitely.
More progression?
Yeah, I do. And I wonder if you think about how much games has changed in its short life cycle, like where it was 20 years ago, 25 years ago, to where it is now, that there's been an immense amount of change. So I think we're used to looking at things through the lens of like, what's broken, what needs fixing, what can we do about that? And it's almost like it's a constant iteration. Whereas a lot of industries kind of like they go through almost kind of like more massive kind of overhauls, where it's a very gradual, ongoing, daily thing, I think, change within the games industry. And I think it does make us progressive. We keep up with technology and adapt to it very quickly.
Yeah, completely. You're right. It's that idea that when we concept, we just do so much iteration, and we realize that we need to be able to change quickly in order to be able to do something new. And that has applied to all aspects of the business so much.
Completely. And I mean, for what you do, Cinzia, especially, I mean, you are a diversity and inclusion advisor. And this is a role that I think has like really sort of built up in the last like few years. Like, I feel like it's becoming more of a thing where companies are actively seeking these kind of roles. And you're also a very strong advocate for diversity in gaming, even winning the MCV Games Campaigner of the Year award. Congratulations again.
Thank you.
How did you decide for yourself that this was like the right kind of role for you?
I think that there was something really important to me when I joined the games industry. And as I was like explaining, with kind of, feeling like I'd found my people a little bit, where I just didn't want to see the same mistakes that I'd seen in the past in other companies be repeated. And so that's why I really got into it and started getting involved. It was very much that idea of like seeing an industry that's just, and a studio that just wants to do better constantly, that like seeks that kind of feedback and everything. And also coming from a place of very much being a problem solver and having that kind of like logical problem solving mind. These two things really married each other well. I found that, I get a lot of energy from impact and like from seeing impact. And there's something that like, the energy that I would get from doing that kind of work and from, seeing progress kind of happen was like nothing compared to my at the time day-to-day role. And so that's something that I really wanted to get involved in and kind of start helping the studio change. And I was lucky that this kind of like, I got involved into it almost at the same time as one of our projects started ramping down, the live project that we had that I was working on at the time. So that kind of like the natural shift started happening where I was able to focus more and more on the business operation side of things. And so as a result of it, kind of like the D&I aspect of things was really what kind of like worked well with my brain, basically.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just, it's something that like being able to see that impact and like, doing like small things and then seeing people coming in and being able to be themselves at work. It's just the kind of like, energy and happiness that it would bring me to see that I was able to help people in that way that's something that just doesn't compare. And it's why I wanted to focus on it. And I was lucky to be at a workplace that let me.
I think it's great as well how kind of companies now are investing in it. It's like, because actually the only way to really make the change and the impact that we need to make is to properly work the problem as well. It's like it won't change if we just continue hiring from our kind of own kind of swimming pools kind of thing, our own lanes.
Absolutely.
So I think seeing that investment shows how far kind of games has come. And I think an acknowledgement that it does need to do better as well. I mean, I'm a firm believer that great creative product is made by diverse teams. The more diverse the team are with different kind of like backgrounds and different points of view gives you a much more well-rounded product. So I think it's in everybody's best interest to take it seriously. And I think very encouraging to, I was super pleased that, Cinzia was able to take her role into that direction because of how passionate she is around it as well. I think that's been absolutely phenomenal to see.
Was there anything like from, because this was also like, I'm guessing like around the time that you were mentoring, you were mentoring Cinzia, did this sort of like come up with your relationship as far as mentee and mentor as well?
Yeah, I mean, I think we had quite open conversations about a lot of things, didn't we, Cinzia? It wasn't really that I'm thinking of going in this direction as such. It was very kind of broad conversation. I guess we talked a lot about growth and kind of how where you wanted to go. And I think my role as a mentor, and I think the role of a mentor is different for different people. Some people want to solve a very specific thing, and other people need to kind of almost gain more confidence or have a sounding board for difficult conversations or how to have a conversation. And I think we tackled quite a few of those things. I mean, for me, it was kind of encouraging Cinzia more than anything to go for the things that she wanted to, and helping with that.
Yeah, I mean, I when I came in, when we started our mentorship, I had just kind of like shifted into doing more operation type roles, and I felt very out of depth. And so I had a lot of problems with like confidence as a result of that, because it was so different from anything that I'd really done before. And so like being able to kind of, like sound everything out with Tara and be like, I'm thinking of doing these things, I'm thinking of making these changes, and being able to have that kind of, that confirmation that I was heading in the right direction was really invaluable. And yeah, it's definitely those conversations like that, and helping Tara being able to help me to kind of build that confidence that managed to help me kind of move towards that role, because I don't think I would have considered that as a feasible career path for me if it wasn't for the conversations that we had.
Aww.
Yeah, I kind of like to see, I think some of the best mentorship relationships work when they're more of like just helping someone guide and shape their own internal thoughts and encouraging them to just go, yeah, sounds great, go and do it, and think about this and think about, have that conversation in this way. It's less about kind of almost, I've seen some mentorship relationships kind of break down a little bit, because it's almost like the mentee comes in with I'm looking for you to help me get a job in the industry, or I'm looking for you to help me get that promotion. I think they work best when almost both of you are approaching it from kind of like a guiding and sounding board. And to be honest, like I got as equal as much from the relationship, I think, as Cinzia did. We ended up working on some quite similar things, and we were able to be quite open with each other because we built up quite a lot of trust. And so we would talk about the things that we were working on and have a look at, I got some great ideas, and I'm pretty sure that was two-way. And I think that for me was the thing that why when Limit Break kind of finished, the program side of it finished, I was like, we need to keep meeting up. This is not going to end for us. And it's been a couple of years now, so I don't see it ever stopping. I see Cinzia as part of my network now, and I will always be there for her, and I'm sure she will always be there for me. I have that confidence that if I was having a bad day and just needed to have a rant at someone, I know that she would give me an ear.
Definitely.
I think that is like so important in general, to just have that person who understands your point of view as well, to just be able to have a conversation with you and not have to keep explaining everything in that sort of like outer territory type of way. Like, when you speak to like your parents about what's going on with the games industry, and they're just kind of like, whoop, okay, yeah, no, that's beyond me. I think like it's almost like a big sibling, like big sibling, little sibling type of feel in the care that goes into a relationship between a mentor and mentee.
Yeah, and I mean, there definitely is that level of trust where you've got to kind of like come in and assume that anything that you say will not leave that conversation, and that, you can't just get past the trying to make the company look good constantly, and just go into like actually being there for each other to try and improve things for yourself and for the people around you.
Because you always need that like outsider ear, don't you? Just so that you just feel protected.
I think you need a sounding board, definitely. You need to have trusted people that you can just... Because sometimes actually I find it, and I don't know if this... I think this is more of an issue with women than it is with men, that inner voice inside your head that tells you that you can't do something, or tells you that or just has you worrying about something that really shouldn't be a worry. Yeah. And I think if you've got a good network of people around you that you can reach out to just say, look, my head is telling me this, but I just need to talk it through with someone. I think that's where kind of mentorship schemes can really help build out those networks, especially if you're new in the industry as well, and you maybe don't want to kind of air all of your dirty laundry to somebody else that you've just started working with. It's like, I just want to know that I'm kind of doing and going in the right direction, and I need someone who's agnostic to the company to just, chat to about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like, am I actually making a bigger thing out of this than it actually is, or is this okay? But
and also that imposter syndrome, right? Like making sure that you're speaking to someone and that they can call you out on when that imposter syndrome happens and tell you, no, this is like, you're being ridiculous. Of course you can do this.
Yeah. Yeah. Like kick that imposter syndrome down. So with that in mind as well, like, how did you both decide it was the right time to become either a mentee and a mentor?
It's interesting actually, because I think before Limit Break kind of started up, I'd done mentorship kind of off and on through the years, just in a very informal capacity with someone might have reached out, and I kind of had a few conversations and stuff with them. Some of those led on to like longer term relationships as well. But I think what was interesting actually about Limit Break coming along was that it was a formal kind of scheme for it, but very much bringing underrepresented groups as well together in the games industry. And to me, there was a really nice kind of like structure to it actually. And I thought, oh, this looks interesting and I want to support this. So, I was kind of signing up 100%, and I will definitely be there signing up when it opens again this year. And I think I enjoy working with people. That's I think that's part of my growth in my career has been that I love working with people. I think doing things outside of the studio also helps give you kind of like broader insights and also makes you feel good as well, like giving something back. It's not just about you and your day-to-day job. It's actually kind of supporting the industry around you. I'm a firm believer in that. And I think mentorship and specifically the Limit Break Mentorship scheme has been great for ticking all of those boxes.
Completely. And how about you, Cinzia? Because you're now a mentor, aren't you?
Yeah, I was a mentor last year, and I'm going to be a mentor this year for sure as well, if I can anyway.
Yeah.
um, but yeah, so when I first kind of like joined and when I first signed up, it really was that yeah, I could tell that I needed that kind of like external experience in order to grow myself and to be able to, like to bring my best self to work. And so that's kind of why I decided to sign up as a mentee. And then like getting the relationship that I got with Tara, it was clear that I wanted to give back to the industry in general, but specifically to Limit Break, because like it brought me so much positive, and I wanted to be able to kind of like keep that circle going. But yeah, there was so much value in just being able to get experience that you cannot really get within your own studio, through like that connection that Limit Break allowed. And then, as well with the roundtables and everything that happened, being able to, meet people, etc. Being like, I had just started in the games industry when I joined as a mentee, and it just brought me a lot of connections that I wouldn't really have gotten to any other way, really. And those roundtables, etc., was kind of like a good way to get that networking in a way that was more structured and in a way that was a lot less daunting, because networking in the games industry can be extremely daunting when you're new and when you don't know how it works, and you join a room and everyone already knows each other. And so that Limit Break really was able to kind of like break those barriers a little bit for me.
Yeah, it's like going to a press event, like your first press event, and you're just kind of like, I know no one here. I'm just going to keep to myself and see what happens.
You're just sipping your glass of wine in the corner and hope that someone comes talk to you.
I know. Oh, bless us for like a majority of our industry being introverts. Like we're just all like, no, I just want somebody to come and save me for right now.
I actually think you're touching on a really interesting point there about introverts, because I'm quite a big introvert myself. And when I first thought about kind of like mentorship and stuff, I kind of thought, oh, it's not for me. It needs a more kind of confident, outgoing person. But actually, it's for everyone. It really is. You don't have to be the most confident of people to be a great mentor. You just have to be a really good listener and kind of, be able to help someone kind of break down their own thought processes. And lots of people can do that. So I would encourage anybody who is thinking they'd love to do mentorship but don't think they've got the right personality for it, to just go and try it. And also don't be afraid to, if your first mentorship relationship doesn't quite work out, that's not a bad thing. Actually, a lot of mentorship relationships don't work out. I mean, as mine and Cinzias has been fantastic. There's no denying it. I think we get on like a house on fire, but they won't all be like that. And just kind of like roll with it. And if it doesn't, you can bail on those things and you can find someone else. And give it a go.
Yeah.
I think that is the thing. Like, not everybody's going to have the same view of like what a mentorship program sort of entails. Like, I think you said before, Tara, about how, some people are in it just to get a promotion or that type of thing. And it's like, it's fair enough. But if it doesn't match sort of what you feel they need to improve or whatever, then yeah, that relationship might not be as healthy or as beneficial to each other,
The other great thing actually that comes to my mind about Limit Break, which has been good, is that you might be a mentor for someone else and you might work out that actually you can't help them with this thing, but actually in your network, someone that can. And, I had that actually this year where I had another Limit Break mentor approach me to say, I'm mentoring this person. They're awesome. I think you can help them with this thing. And they connected us together. And again, that's a relationship that I've kind of continued on, but it wasn't that we, that we have a formal mentorship relationship. It's just that now I've got this person in my network that I think I can help. And if I probably at some point would love to work with them. And so I'm kind of building those connections that might be useful for me in a future kind of space.
I also kind of feel, and you like feel free to disagree or agree or whatever. But like, I feel like the games industry, although it's like really big, it also feels really small and connected. And it almost kind of feels like these mentorship programs makes it more of a family.
Absolutely.
Yeah. No, it's really interesting with that, because when you kind of like come in externally, the games industry just seems like that big, massive, blurry thing. And then the more you kind of like get to talk to people, the more you realize that like, if you don't know that person, you'll know someone around them that knows them. And it's such a like, especially in the UK, I find it's such a connected industry. That like it's very easy once you start getting to know people to kind of like grow your network that way. But also, it's something that that you'll see that that kind of thing helps connect people, and Limit Break helps kind of like, you know, break that barrier from making it from a big blurry thing into you understanding that it is that connection.
I think you find that you keep bumping into the same awesome people. I think that's it, isn't it? It's like you think, oh yeah, I know you from such and such, or you get into a conversation with someone and say, oh, you must know so and so. It's like, it's very small when you're in it, I think. But it's a good observation, Cinzia, about when you're outside, it can seem quite daunting.
Completely. Like you see somebody's Twitter followers, and you're just like, I can't talk to them. Like they're, you know, they got like what, 20,000 people. Oh my goodness. Okay. I'm done. But it really, like, I think that is the thing. I think because we're all people, like these types of mentorship programs just highlights that as well, that we're all just people, and we're all just happen to be in the same industry, and it's okay.
Yeah, and we're all super excited to be there, and we want to share what we're doing and what we're working on, and so like as soon as you start talking to someone, you realize that they're just as excited to talk to you as you are to talk to them.
Yeah, completely. And I mean, with that in mind as well, so if somebody looking in trying to decide whether or not they want to become if they want to enter a mentorship program or be a mentor, so how would you feel as though they should go about it?
I think definitely, like if you can join an existing program that's already got some structure to it, that makes it a little bit easier. So that's where I think Limit Break is awesome. It's like it puts a structure in to support you around it. And, you know, even just on the social side and the, you know, like the Slack channels and stuff like that, you can build your kind of support network quite quickly through being part of a program like that. I think, although, you know, that might not be for everyone as well. And I think, you know, you can do mentorship outside of formal schemes as well. You can just try approaching people. That's what I would say is like, the industry is quite warm and friendly. And I think a lot of people don't probably give themselves the right start they're almost scared to ask for help or scared to ask someone for advice. You know, even if it's just like pinging someone on Twitter, direct messaging someone and saying, you know, I'd love to have a conversation with you about something, and, you know, go for it that way. There's lots of different routes. We're all quite connected these days. And I think that's a big benefit over when I joined started my career 20 odd years ago. It's, you know, there's nothing stopping you really. And I think it's just a bit of bravery and finding the right platform, whether that's LinkedIn or another social channel or joining a scheme, and just go for it and give it a try. I think there's something in it for everyone. I definitely think it helps also though to kind of have a think about like what you want to get from it. Like if you want to mentor, think about like what is it that you ideally would like some help with? Is it just a sounding board? Is it just to widen your network? Or, you know, are you at a point in your career where you're about to make a big decision and you kind of don't know what route to go with it, and you want to speak to someone who's maybe had a similar path or a similar journey? Yeah. So I think, definitely Limit Break helps connect you with the right people. I think that's the one great thing about it. It has a great match kind of, you know, part of its setup is matching people with each other that have similar kind of either backgrounds or interests. So I think that it can really, really, really help you.
Yeah. The little back book of Limit Break Mentorship Program.
The other thing that I would say as well is when you start a relationship with a mentor or a mentee is don't see that relationship as transactional. That's something that's super important. Because if you're going to come in and just go straight to business and be like, all right, we're doing this, that, and that, and just kind of like, ask those questions, get those answers, and then go away, then that relationship is just, you're not going to get everything that you can get out of it. Like there is so much more than a mentor or a mentee has to offer. And if you're going in and just trying to solve a specific problem and you're not kind of like letting, the flow of a natural relationship go through, then you might be missing out on a lot of great advice that you wouldn't have gotten if you stuck to your kind of schedule. So yeah, give some time and give room for the relationship to grow into something, and that like building that trust is something that's going to go so much further than just like coming in and trying to get specific things out of it.
I like to use the words of like listen and learn, because I think that works for both the mentee and the mentor. I think that's a two-way thing, is like listen to what each other are saying and learn from each other, because I've learned a lot from mentees that I've had over the years, and I think if you're going in as like as I call the senior figure in that relationship, I think if you go in with an ego in mind and that you know everything and your mentee is like your little underling, that is just going to end in failure. I think it's not going to be a good. It's not going to be good for you, and it's also not going to be good for the individual. So I think just listen and learn from each other and see it as a two-way relationship that, as Cinzia said, isn't transactional.
I can just imagine this mentor carting around little minions, little gaming minions.
Just getting assistance really at that point.
Yeah. Just look at my crew,
I think there are some benefits, aren't there, though? I mean, if I think about kind of like with my mentor hat on, it's like, I think it can help you develop. It helps you improve your own communication skills, because you're mixing with people that you wouldn't get to mix with on a day-to-day basis. I think it helps you reinforce your own knowledge and what you do know. And it, as I said before, I think I touched on it broadens your own network. Like it gives you reach out points into other companies sometimes that are actually useful as you do go up through your career. You never know when you might want to just sound someone out about something who happens to be working in a different company, and you've already got that relationship because you've mentored them in the past.
Exactly. And I mean, so, the new term is coming up for Limit Break Mentorship, which is amazing. So I want to know, what are you looking forward to the most? What are you excited about the most for the new mentorship program?
Yeah, well, I'm hoping to be paired up with another mentee. You don't know, it doesn't always work out like that. But if not, I think one thing that I didn't do very well last year that I would love to kind of put more effort into this year is kind of like to get more active in the Slack channel that's there for Limit Break, because I think there's a lot of good advice that's shared in that, and I just didn't get much time last year to do that. But I think regardless of whether I get paired up with a mentee again, I will definitely look to be more active in that.
Yeah, I hope to be a mentor as well this year, and yeah, to be able to find people that are kind of trying to get into the same path, the D&I route as me, and that I can kind of share that knowledge and all the learnings that I've gotten through the years. That's something that I'm hoping happens as it's getting more of like a hot topic in the games industry. I'm hoping that I can find people that are wanting to learn about that, and that way I get to learn a lot about it too.
I also think seeing the Limit Break kind of like that network grow bigger, I think that's quite exciting. I think if I think about it kind of where it was year one and kind of the amount of growth that it went through kind of last year, I think it's really exciting to kind of see a whole new cohort kind of come in and go through that, regardless of like your own mentee and mentor kind of relationships. I think seeing lots of other new relationships formed is equally as exciting, because, there is that lens on it as underrepresented groups, and all we're doing is supporting each other kind of in our careers. And I think that as a kind of as a network in itself is hugely valuable to the industry.
Yeah, completely. I mean, I'd love to see like a sort of family tree after this.
Oh, yeah.
A Limit Break mentorship family tree. That would be amazing.
Don't. Anissa will probably, she'll be on that one.
Anissa, get on it. Limit Break family tree. And I copy. No, I can't copyright that. No, I can't do that. It's fine, Anissa.
It sounds a fun project though, doesn't it?
Yes. Yeah. A very time consuming project, I imagine.
My head went straight to the visual of how that could look as well. And I was like, yeah. Over-engineering it already.
Would it have to be a 3D tree? Could it have, what kind of flowers would be on it? All sorts. Well,
I hope we get a lot of people that feel like they can be mentors, and that it really doesn't matter how long you've been in the industry. There is information and knowledge that you can share with someone. And I hope that people feel that, you don't have to have been in the industry 20 years to kind of share your knowledge and share your learnings, and that, everyone has something to learn from someone else. And I think that if you feel that you're not qualified to be a mentor, just put that aside and let the matchmaking algorithm or system do that for you, because I'm sure that there are people out there that could really benefit from, everyone's advice.
That's excellent advice.
Yeah, I agree completely. I think we do let ourselves, we get in the way of ourselves quite a bit with these types of things. And yeah, I think that is so important. Everybody has something to share.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, this was amazing to get to chat to you both. And I feel really honored to be able to speak to you both on this podcast.
Thank you.
And I really wish you all well for the next term of Limit Break Mentorship.
Brilliant. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Lauren.
That's it for this episode of She Plays Games. Please be sure to follow Tara on Twitter at Saunders Tara and Cinzia at Geeky Baking. Thank you so much to Limit Break for sponsoring this episode. A reminder that registration starts today, so if you'd like to learn more about the program, you can head on over to their website at limitbreak.co.uk. Also, if you want more episodes of She Plays Games, please be sure to subscribe and follow me on iTunes, Spotify, and YouTube by searching She Plays Games, and on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at She Plays Podcast. If you want to be on the show or want to nominate someone to come on the show, you can email me at sheplayspodcast@gmail.com. See you all next time on She Plays Games.